Hey guys, I just needed to have some popcorn because, I needed some sustenance so that I can try to digest the news. I mean, that the New York City Mayor Eric Adams has been indicted and by the federal government. And the news first broke in the New York Times. And apparently there's been a long investigation, a federal investigation. Excuse me, my stomach is growling. Where they were scrutinizing his connections to Turkish businessmen and campaign donations that he apparently received from those Turkish businessmen. Now, I was watching on Murad Murali. I watch Murad a lot, really often, if not every day. Several times per week, I tune into him. And he basically said that this indictment and soon to be arrest, the mayor will be turning himself in soon, has to do with the Diddy case. Because apparently the mayor um, and Diddy are very good friends. And apparently, according to Murad, the mayor gave Diddy the keys to New York, literally gave him the keys to New York. Uh, wow. It says here the mayor is expected to have several days to turn himself in, according to sources familiar with the case. He's not expected to appear in court Thursday. Prosecutors previously informed his attorneys that if charged, he would be summoned to surrender at a future date. Wow. It says here that he was at Gracie Mansion when the word of the indictment broke, and that he was undeterred and resolute in his demeanor. So it seems to me though that there's some huge federal thing going on against top ranking black politicians, entertainers such as like the music mogul Diddy, and what else? And you know, yeah, entertainers, politicians, and apparently athletes as well. So we can expect to have some kind of indictment in due course against an athlete as well, or athletes plural, because I think that's what was said originally, that these were all part of a conspiracy with Diddy in from from sports, athletes, politicians, and rappers and music industry officials, and they all seem to be black. So what does that mean? Does the black have anything to do with it? I don't know. I don't really know. I'm just saying that they all just happen to be black and male for the moment. Well, actually, I think the mayor, a few people in the mayor's administration were also indicted, and some may have not been Afro descendant, if you will, but the prominent faces and the prominent figures so far are all black men. I mean, even in terms of that conspiracy involving Diddy, when they show his party, I mean, apparently top celebrities of all racial groups were there. But in terms of the filth and the actual, people involved in the freak offs, it seems it was all these top rappers, all of whom are black, right? Is this a coincidence? Is this a coincidence that all of a sudden it's open season on every prominent black, you know, figure? Um, I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, here's the thing. If people are doing wrong, it doesn't matter what color they are. they should be held accountable for their actions. But if people are going about rounding up people based on their color to, you know, put them in the public sphere as being like the worst of the Mohicans, because you have to imagine that, here they're saying that it's about contributions from Turkish businessmen. This man is up for, but it's coming around a time when there's also a probe, a federal probe into Diddy, a friend of the mayor's, who is accused of um, a lot of filth, right? And it seems that he's guilty of this filth, right? But the fact that he's a filthy freak, Diddy, that is, doesn't mean that he committed any crimes in the process. But they're saying that he did. They are they are trying him for racketeering, which, again, to my understanding, must have a commercial benefit prong to it, which seems to be absent, at least so far in this case. I mean, what we've heard is that he rounded up all these sex workers to for his gratification. But now we are hearing that um, the mayor of New York is now indicted, right? And we had heard previously that this conspiracy would involve politicians, athletes, and rappers slash music execs, all of whom happen to be black males so far. It's very interesting. Now, Trump was indicted in New York and in other states by a bunch of black people. The attorney general in New York, I mean, is he next? Is he going to be indicted? And what are the charges going to be? You have Fannie Willis in Georgia. Is she going to be indicted? And what is going to be the charge? I just wonder whether this could all be a political witch hunt at this point. Whether, but then it wouldn't make sense because Trump is not yet president, right? I mean, the ruling administration at the moment are the Democrats, right? So it wouldn't make sense to say that this is all retribution for Trump. Is just bring down all the black people everywhere in every industry, right? It wouldn't make sense, although maybe it does make sense. I mean, how does this all work where the federal government, the presidency is an independent body from the courts, which is independent from the legislature, right? So I don't know that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, as was suggested by some people in some of the comments I've been reading around the place, would have any power or jurisdiction to order this indictment or to stop the indictment, right? This is not their lane, right? And and we know that the court is definitely Republican, right? So what about these federal agencies? Are they Republican led or Democrat? Because I just wonder. I mean, look, as I said, if people are doing wrong, they should be held accountable. But don't try to tell me that only black men are doing wrong in politics and in sports and in the music industry or in the entertainment industry. Don't even try to tell, well, black and a few Jewish men, right? Don't even try to tell me this. I think that you can find people of all um, you know, descendancies who are doing wrong. Why all of a sudden are all these black men being indicted? It's a little weird for me, you guys. I don't know Eric Adams at all. I've never heard of him. Apparently, he was a police officer for 20 years. He retired as a captain, according to his Wikipedia page. He became mayor of he was also borough president, I believe, of New York, of one of the boroughs. I don't know whether it was Brooklyn or whatever. And then he became mayor in 2022, which is not very long. Now he'll be the very first mayor in history of first New York City mayor in history to be indicted. And if he is convicted, I mean, my goodness, what a legacy, right? But I just, 20 years as a police officer, and then all of a sudden in 2 years he's a criminal. It's a little it's interesting. It's interesting. Now he claims it's because he blew the whistle on the immigration policies of the Biden administration and the open borders and so on. All of this clearly has nothing to do with Diddy and with um, these freak offs at the moment. I mean, we don't know. I did see, interestingly, that there were photos existing of Diddy and people like, say, Al Sharpton. Diddy and people like, say, the pastor T.D. Jakes. Diddy and people like, who else did I see this guy with? He fraternizes, Diddy, that is, with a lot of very high-ranking public officials, many of whom, perhaps most of whom, are black men as well. And so, this probe into Diddy and these RICO charges are very, very explosive. I don't see a RICO case, but I mean, I'm not an expert. I've never seen a RICO case. I know nothing about RICO, so take everything I say with a grain of salt and some popcorn, okay? Because I really don't know. I'm just, talking. I'm just talking. I have no idea. But it seems that the charges at the current moment against the mayor, Eric Adams, have nothing to do with Diddy, even though Murad Morelli says it most likely does. So we have to wait and see once this indictment is unsealed. I believe it will be unsealed at some point today. So we'll follow up. Um, but I wonder whether this is all retribution for all those charges against Trump, many of which were headed by black personalities, whether it's the attorney general or the judge or the like, in some cases at least. And so, just bring down all these people and make black leadership look like complete and total X, Y, and Z. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. It kind of looks that way. Again, if people are doing wrong things, they should be held accountable. But why all of a sudden there is this cluster of indictments and arrests of all these prominent black males? It's very, very bizarre. It's very, very bizarre. I hope to God that the mayor had nothing to do with Puffy's freak offs, though, I must say. Now, what does that have to do with Kamala? Well, Kamala is not a black male, obviously. But she's sort of blackish, and she is called black, even though she is of Indian and Afro descendancy, right? She's the two. But in the world, if you have a drop of black, you're black, and you have to denounce the rest of what you are. Apparently, I don't know where this rule came from, but so she's a girl, and all of these others are guys who are being, indicted, and they're dropping like flies. What does this mean for her? Well, my concern is the October surprise element. And, I've said from the beginning that I don't think Kamala can win this election. Not because she's not qualified, not because the people don't love her, not even because she can't win the popular vote. She probably will win the popular vote. But it's not the popular vote that gets her elected. It's the electoral votes, the electoral college that will ultimately decide who's going to be the president of the United States. And that usually comes down to a few swing states. And my suspicion is that she's just not going to be able to do it because the powers that be are not going to permit it. Now, I wonder what all of this distraction with the Diddy and Eric Adams and God knows what else is coming down the pike. Something else is coming down the pike. Um, have to do with the elections. I think it has something to do with the elections. First of all of this is distracting from the elections. It's distracting people from paying attention to the issues, paying attention to the polls. All you're seeing is blackness at its worst, right? Black is bad, black is filthy, black is dirty, black is corrupt. That's all you're seeing. And have this dominate the headlines for the next couple of months, which it probably will just by osmosis. If because I mean, I'm glued to it. I mean, I'm talking about Diddy. I don't talk about Diddy ever. I talk about Harry and Meghan. I talk about, beautiful things and gardens. And here I am talking about freak offs and all of this because it's just so riveting, right? Then you throw in this Eric Adams thing onto the fire. It's like they've started a bonfire. It is going to be very, very distracting to the populace, to the voting. People are not going to be looking at the till, at what's really going on in politics. Politics is like, who cares at this point? And this is how Kamala loses the election. Somehow in there, Kamala doesn't make it over the hump with the Electoral College, assuming she even wins the popular vote at this point. Now, there could be a nasty October surprise, however, because we don't know where this is all going to end. I mean, where's this all going to end, right? I mean, who's next? They're going after the whole, everybody. I mean, and it's unrelated charges. You know, getting money from Turkish businessmen for his campaign has nothing to do with Diddy, at least not to my way of thinking. Correct me if I'm wrong. But there's going to be an appearance that all of it has to do with each other, that they're all corrupt, they're all filthy, none of them can be trusted with power and authority and money, etc. Right? This is the game. It's huge, it's big. Get them all out. And then we have Kamala, something in October. They're going to drop something huge in October on Kamala Harris. That's my prediction, right? That's all for this one. See you in the next one. Take care. Bye.